Hi. Because I'm stressed, I'm a little bit forgetful at the moment. Yeah, I forgot to tell you about the other page on my website. Okay, we got to Rifkind, and let's just scan down and show you some horrific images. All of it is about corrupted boardrooms, corrupted media, all the news releases, MPs that are unconstitutionally chucked out of the cabinet because they refuse to see their constituents, like John Lamont MSP. Yeah, there's the corrupted BBC, there's all the corrupted bloodlines that are the monarchies. Everywhere you go, yeah, it comes in. Everywhere you go. Lagos the rabbit of Macedonia, right back before the Pharaoh linkage to the Piso family that wrote the Bible, that takes you into the Windsors and takes you into the Bushes and the FDRs. There's the corrupted Bible, Alpha to Omega on the Paschal candle. That's Arius, Piso, Alpha to O, yeah, all of it a stitch up. There's the invasion of Afghanistan for the opium wealth. There's her ladyship, yeah, pretending that she's grieving for the war dead. She makes her money from ceramic puppies, and the Duke of Westminster makes his money from running the British Legion with a massive litigation fund in case somebody like me comes along. There's Douglas Haig, who cares about the horses, which are an icon for the Pisos. There is Arius Calpurnius Piso, and all of the press jokes, yeah, all of the cover-ups. That's the man, yeah, that's the husband that is the head of MI6 unless Her Majesty wants to take a hand. And here we've got all of the opium launderers and the great heroin coup that went into Vietnam for that purpose. That's the Golden Triangle where the opiates come from, yeah. Thailand, Vietnam and Burma. There we are in Afghanistan. There's all the covers and all the financial frauds and all the paedophilia and massacres of children. There is the drug running element from Greece, second husband of Jackie O. There is Quentin Bryce, who laughs at the Anzac war dead because Mr. Bean was the war correspondent for Gallipoli. And there is Mr. Bean cheating by running for his country on a Sunday. The religious joke. For all of them, the religious joke. There's all the jokes in the mafia about the inquests and the brothers coming together. And there is Rebecca, yeah, also with the horsey icon, and also the corrupted papacy. That's Vidal, the tank commander, who was given confession by Pope Francis. Okay, there is the Quentin Bryce joke about the London Olympics, and donkeys are Jesus in the story that the Pisos wrote, and the donkeys are all over the war crimes too, and the Butlins story. Yeah, there's the Vietnamese tragedy, and that is on the album cover for the Rolling Stones. That is a joke about the religious fraud. There is Hitler trained to kill, and all of the people that are trained for World War II in London, and that is Churchill, who committed the Gallipoli genocide, yeah, on behalf of the Rothschilds and the Balfours for the oil wealth on the Russian steppes, peeking round the corner in the Sydney Street siege where Stalin was trained, and it's right next door to the Rothschild Jewish cemetery, and the crime scene for Jack the Ripper on Cheapside, right next door to the Bank of England. And there's the Russian side, and all of it is huge. Right, so the bit that I missed is at the top of my web page. I've got the profiling of everything that happens to me tomorrow and all of the issues that they have started to threaten my life with and my children's future. Yeah, because I was prepared to share my secrets with my children. They're the only people that I can find that are in any way supportive. Okay? Right then, and that's globally now. All of my colleagues all across the university sector who are involved in the medical and pharmaceutical sectors, all of them have deserted me. Okay, so the next page is AA assassination by the World Windsors, and I think I showed you that in the earlier video. Yeah, that's the one with the little thumbnails. So the next one is the bit that I've prepared this morning, and I want you to show you in summary what they're so active about in my persecution. Okay, my enforced sectioning and the whole of world ownership explained. Please scan down the web page above and watch the video on this page. I have now put all the strands of world ownership together. The authors of the Bible and Quran frauds are in the same ancient bloodlines who run, number 1, banking and the issuance of money since 120 BC when the Piso-Frugis ran the mint in Rome. 2, false messianic religions written out of the Villa Papyri in Naples when Vesuvius exploded in 79 AD. 3, the roots of the bloodlines from Alexander the Great, the Egyptian pharaohs, that's the Ptolemies, the Roman emperors, Piso family, the French kings, queens to Marie Antoinette, the American presidential bloodlines to FDR and the Bush warmongering dynasties. Yeah, that's FDR who refused to take American children like Woodrow Wilson to war. He was elected to prevent that, and immediately when we get into the middle of the war, he's happy to do it. All the Christian warlords, number 4, who took the church into Constantinople and then the Cluny Abbey in France, then into Great Britain and Ireland, that should be, I've said France. The Pisos wrote the Quran too, published in Tel Aviv by the Crèches and released into Mecca in the 7th century, and that becomes all of the sectarian violence and the religious strife that we now have, and all of it was preached in the election this year when the new government were put in place. The empires, number 5, run by the European monarchs, which became the G8, G20, NATO's armies, the Clinton Foundation, the Royal Institute for International Affairs, MI5, MI6, and all the rest of Intel, who surveil, launder and silence people using the methods described all through this website. Every one of my exposures is backed up by the scientific method. It exposes the methods, corrupted leaders and their director numbers, munitions, war crimes, frauds, economic grand larceny, and the ownership of every central bank on the globe. This has been the root cause of all religious strife, all sectarian violence, all genocides, and all wars, all sides. Yet, so you can see why they want me to have an accident in the clinic on behalf of my mental stability. I hope you can see that. So in return I get enforced antipsychotic drugs, enforced in a top secret hearing, precipitated by local doctors Dr. Ian Fingland, the policeman, and Mr. Basil Switzer, who starts my route to the vegetative state tomorrow, 6th of October 2015. Then he leaves the crime scene as soon as he has drugged me up twice a month with intramuscular injections. All of this with every council and council state, with every country and council stroke straight state in sovereign debt, and within 3 months of me writing my 3rd letter to HRH Queen Elizabeth II. Everything I do is entirely constructive and my reward is profiled below. Okay, I am to be imposed hypodermic, intramuscular, depot antipsychotics. I'll let you read the rest. That is the 3rd bit of my web page. So all the pictures of all of the crimes, many of the boardrooms, but then if you scan down you'll see that all of this is my efforts to free my country from the tyranny and all of the countries across the globe. Yeah, open letters to the Queen pleading with the royal household, February 2013. That was only about economics. It was not about the murders in the household and all of the things that have happened that mean that other countries are dispossessed of those countries. And that is the huge empire that we now run, still the biggest institution on the globe, and all of it is on behalf of the elites. None of it is on behalf of any of those countries. Yeah, WWF, the fall of the House of Windsor, allegiance to the, let's see some of the financial crimes, banking fraud, the political greed across the year, big 6 energy companies, the globalised web of deceit and fraud. All of those have the directors on them. All of them have the massive number of Ponzi shells. All of it is just a tragedy for the civilized and prosperous world. Okay, brutalizing Africa, the Middle East, Western arms trading, Christianity, Islam and the Messianic religions, JFK, all of that. Yeah, if you're an innocent you get topped. And there's all the 10 Downing Street frauds, the African famines, all of it for profit. all of the Finchley laundering tools and all of the director numbers and all of the interlocks they have. Edward Snowden, PM Cameron's free holidays in Pelindaba, that's the nuclear weapons. And he was just a boy, really. Peter Marks crashing the Co-op Bank, where our funds are still in 50 grand plus, yeah, earning 0.05%, which is the bank rate. Energy bills, all of them rising 20% year on year, yeah, and all of that is why I am being medicated tomorrow. And all of the Freemasonic cabal explains the chaos. There's the asset stripping, even of the sporting sector, the massive Gazprom asset stripping all across Europe. Okay? Holocausts, wars, Cold Wars, Palestine and EU explained. All of it for strife and contention. Nobody does anything for constructive motives anywhere in politics or in any monarchy. Yeah, and all that needs to happen is were they to become populist and work with the people honestly and openly, then we could have civilization in less than 6 months. Dr. Fingland pretends he does not understand that, because he gets paid to do this. Okay? Indigenous peoples, endless persecution, that's the killing of the world's pagans, the opium wars that we just referred to, no opiate analgesics all over sub-Saharan Africa. Let's finish with that. Yeah, it's particularly poignant. I had to resign from the board of that journal because of that. Okay, safe and sustainable anesthesia in Africa and the developing world, finding ways to share our knowledge and goodwill. Summary: I profile an alarming shortage of trained anaesthetists in sub-Saharan Africa and the immediate impact of this on peri-operative safety. In the worst affected areas, the maternal mortality in childbirth is estimated to be 1 death in 12 to 20 operations. We focus on efforts to promote safe anaesthesia by training nurse and anaesthetists and to ensure access to basic essential equipment, e.g. pulse oximeters and WHO World Health Organization approved core drugs. The frontline anaesthetic is ketamine. Yeah, we use that in the lab to induce psychosis in the animal models, reflecting its safety margin and a chronic lack of opiate analgesics over a vast region. The simple goal is to export the techniques we have used for 150 years. Everything from condoms and perfusion sets must be recycled, and there are often no blood banks or adequate reserves of magnesium sulfate for eclampsia, that's high blood pressure in childbirth. We profile the response of the aid agencies and highlight the sparsely resourced organisations helping in this humanitarian crisis. Potential funding sources are explored to support self-sustaining training programs to empower clinical leaders in Africa, and practice include to refine and endorse the uptake of standard operating procedures for safe anaesthesia. Barriers to safe and sustainable practice include HIV, malaria, TB, perioperative sepsis, inefficient logistic support and a lack of trust between developed and developing countries. All are surmountable, but efforts are often confounded by ongoing violence, and my website explains who sponsors and prompts for that in a perpetually turbulent continent. Lastly, we explore the concept of academic and practical impact. That's all that they impose on the academics as their targets in life. Yeah, get a good score and then do it again in another 5 years. Keep your head down so you cannot see what we're doing. And we are doing genocide all over the place where we're trying to make childbirth safe. Of the aid, training, research programs and the paradox that funding to provide clean water, jobs, equipment and exporting safe and effective practice, which we have deployed for decades in Europe for huge numbers of African people, is not a high priority. I'm a fellow of the Pharmaceutical Society. This was attempted to be published in 2012, 1 year after they tried to have me sectioned because I exposed their frauds in the local surgery, and they knew now that I become a loyal and dedicated fraud researcher in all sorts of things. So the man that refused to allow me to publish that is called Professor Brian Pollard, Manchester Medical School, Department of Anaesthesia. I worked for them as a volunteer. Yeah, that's way after the local doctors tried to have me sectioned, and when I'm working still for the Royal Pharmaceutical Society in Edinburgh as a volunteer, because every job I get scammed out of it. Yeah, and many of that is by leaders of our country up to the level of the House of Lords. Okay, I will stop there. That is trends in anaesthesia and critical care. And when Dr. Paul Shazo tried to engage our academic community on that, he wanted to make new drugs and make money from it, and he got a horrible act of God in response, and large tracts of his abdomen have now been removed surgically, and he was on an iron lung for about 6 weeks, as I recollect. Okay, I am very God-fearing, I am very honest, and I talk the truth all of the time. Yeah, and all of that leads to my persecution, and I get drugged up starting tomorrow. Bye bye.